Okay.
Gotta plug it in.
Oh,
Okay.
This side.
Okay. Instead of saying that there's something that I used AI for. Now this is our club logo,
You get it?
but some people
Over the
at
next
one of our
slide,
board meetings
so-
there were comments that
right now.
yeah, it's out of date. You know, it's got those flying
Yeah,
discs
flip a
on there.
slide.
People don't use discs anymore.
He's on-
So I thought, well,
Okay, he's
you
on that
know,
one, yeah.
maybe let me try doing something. So I uploaded the logo with the flying discs to Copilot, and I just said, eliminate the flying discs. And this is what I got, a nice clean image, no flying discs. And it came out, so I don't know. It's, there's things you can do like that with AI. You can upload an image. Now, again, be careful what images you upload, but this one was relatively harmless. So anyway, the audio, I bought some microphones, and these are wireless microphones that go directly to that computer that's recording and streaming. The meeting is being streamed live right now. You could be sitting at home watching this live on your computer if you go to our YouTube channel. But it's so hopefully this will improve the quality because it's getting the sound straight from here instead of picking up all the echo in the room. So we'll see. If it doesn't work, I'll send it back to Amazon. Okay, so there we go. Please silence your phone. Yes, this means you too can. That's me. And I need to do that because last month, after I announced this, about 2 minutes later, my phone rang. So I forgot to do it ahead of time. Whether you do not disturb or put it in airplane mode or turn off your phone, whatever way works best for you. And happy St. Valentine's Day. It's not yet. For all those that need to buy a card or something or a gift, it's Saturday, February 14th. So you got a day or two. Okay, and here's what we're going to talk about today. Financial report. We'll go over. I started with a little bit about the lab improvements, membership, computer club matters, classes, North Star update, and our feature presentation. Now this, I need to talk to our treasurer because I don't understand this, and I never did it. I never paid attention to it through all these years, and so some things are blank because he gave me his treasurer's report, but I couldn't find anything that was a direct. Okay, this moves over here, so some of those are blank. But anyway, our checking account we have $15,681.24. We had cashed in 2 of the CDs that we had. Those were $5,000 each. We still have 1 CD account. Have no pending deposits. Our petty cash is $100, so our total checking account is $20,967. Well, our total, including the CD accounts, is $20,967.23. Now we've already purchased new computers out of that, so that has already been deducted from there. We're doing well. You approved $24,000 for us to fix up the lab, and we're just under $20,000 right now with the total of everything that we're planning on spending. The computers, new higher resolution monitors, and the tabletops, everything. The tabletops amount to about $3,500 total for eight new tabletops with shipping and everything from California. Our equipment inventory, 52,000. I'm sure that does. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that 12/31/25. So that does not include the new computers, but it also is including probably the old computers at full price. I don't know. So I need to learn more about, and I said this last time, but there's a lot here. So, but in the Grafton Food Pantry, I just $116 last month. that was not in his treasurer's report either, so, that, was $116 last month. Thank you for that. The computer club pays for the coffee and the donuts, and then whatever we collect in that in the free will donation, it goes to the food pantry. It's a good cause, so just if you can put something in there, we appreciate it. Okay, lab improvements. This is a picture from their website of what the desks are going to look like. Now those tops, when you're not using them, they will close. So it'll be just like a continuous wooden top. And on one side or the other or both, you'll be able to, I think it's pull a lever, and it'll be gas cylinders. You have gas cylinders on your car to help open the hood or the rear hatch on your car. Those gas cylinders will rotate that top up to an angle like this. So it'll be a much more comfortable position for you. You'll be able to sit up and look at the monitor. You won't be sitting there, bending over, looking down at them. I see Paul all the time working on all. He's got to go through all those computers, and he's got to have back problems by now because he's bent over many hours. So these should be much nicer. We're getting rid of the glass over the top, the glare from the glass. So I'm sure everybody will appreciate that because it's really annoying. So hopefully in a week or two we'll be getting one top that we're putting on, and we'll be installing in the lab and trying it out and figuring out where we're going to put the computers. So the other thing is, this shows the computers underneath, right there, where we have them now, and that's kind of annoying because you're always bumping into them, your shins or your knees. So we've gotten smaller computers. There's small, the newer small style computers, and we're not sure yet until we put a top on there if we're going to mount it to the bottom of the wooden top or to the wooden metal frame. We still have to figure that out, but once we get one of them there, we'll figure that out, and then we do all the rest when we get the tops. That's, I think, about all I have on those. Let's see. Our total membership, I think this is the same number I used last month, and that 1369. We've gone up a little bit, but our person who enters the membership information into Northstar and into our website has been on vacation, so nothing has been updated. So I apologize if anybody is a new member and you paid your dues and you come in afterwards and they say, well, you're not in the system. Well, we have a place where we can go to look up your payment until she gets it all updated everywhere. So it'll take her, take her a week or so to get caught up, and then everything should be okay. And again, our computer lab full service hours, Monday and Thursday mornings, Tuesday evening, Wednesday afternoon. And we have our subgroup meetings that are held in the computer lab. The Apple group meets the second Tuesday of each month at 2 p.m. And the photography group meets the first Wednesday of each month at 7 p.m. And you don't have to sign up or anything. You can just go to the lab at those times. And if you have an interest in either one of those two, I've been to both of them. They're both very good groups. Our computer classes, the one thing that's not on there is any Apple classes, because we had an Apple class yesterday, and there won't be one next month because our Apple person will not be available next month. So, but we have some Android classes, and one February 18th, we'll be talking about photo storage, and one, I guess it's just a general general Android class, and then one on managing your contacts on Wednesday, March 18th. So we've got a couple of them in March and one more in February. And if we come up with any more, because one of my goals is to teach more classes. We're getting these new computers, and I want to use these new computers. I don't want to just do Google searches on them. I want people to be using these computers. So I want to have more classes. And as soon as we get everything settled down in the lab, everything's installed, and things will slow down for me, then we'll be working on having more classes. North Star update. I don't know how many of you use the North Star website. I'm not a fan. And I was chosen, directed, I don't know. I got an email saying, you're on this group, you get to look at it like a week ahead of time, and I gave them a whole list of things. 2 things that I liked, most of them I did not. And this looks pretty, but it doesn't really tell you that there's more if you scroll, although there is, I think on here, you can't see it because it's a still image, but there's a little bouncing square down here that I think is supposed to indicate that you can scroll. But that's not a standard anywhere, so people don't realize, and it's hardly visible, so I didn't even notice it for a while. But it looks like you just have to hover over one of these or click on it to drop down a menu and then choose what you want. And those I think are similar to what we had before. So I think, I'm not sure what they changed other than just the look of everything. You got this is all the stuff that you can get to when you're not logged in. If you remember login, similar to before, same login, that hasn't changed. So if you haven't done it, you can just go in with the same user ID and password that you used before. And this is our club webpage. Now this drives me crazy. I thought, okay, you got Sun City by Del Webb here. Why do we need this? That's on every club page, that same thing. Well, if you remember when we started with North Star, what was there was 4 ladies playing tennis on every club page. And I was doing the Sportsman's Club. This is the Sportsman's Club. I don't want women playing tennis on the Sportsman's Club page. So I complained about that, and eventually they did something where they got rid of that. Well, it seemed to me that North Star is not, they're lazy. What I discovered is this area on the general pages, there's nice pictures in that area. So they thought, oh, club pages, what are we going to do there? So they didn't want to put 4 ladies playing tennis again, so they just did that. And I said, well, that's redundant. You got it there, but you already have it here. So I've designed websites, and this is terrible. Oh, and on the home page, if you do scroll it, there's like big buttons. Oops. On the page, and like one of them is charter clubs. You move your mouse over it, and that button changes color, and you click on it, and you think, okay, that's a link. So then you wait and wait and wait and wait, and nothing happens. And then I start looking around, and in little letters all the way at the bottom of that square, it says click here. So you have to click here in order for it to do anything. Well, click here drives me crazy. That's what you did in web pages in 1995 when people were first making web, but you had to tell them where to click. Now there's other ways of indicating that you click there. Like if you hover over it, it changes color and you click on it and it lets you know. And there's also other places in there you have to be aware of. In the text might be black, and there's something that says, it's a link, and it might say click here, it might say just in the text they made it a link, but it's in a dark blue. Well, if you're not colorblind, you're good. If you look closely, I'm not colorblind, but I had to look closely to see that, that's where I click. So I gave them a whole list of comments, and I've got more coming. So, but then if you scroll this, then you'll see the rest of the computer club page. And I've got some ideas for changing that as well. But that's that's an update on North Star. So just if you haven't used it, look at it and see. Oh yeah, the other thing is you probably don't want to look at it on your phone. I did, and that was more comments that I had because those big blocks that I talked about, you know, there's I think 4 across on your computer screen. On your phone, you see one at a time. You got to scroll, 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 just to get past all those blocks to get to the other stuff. So it was not designed for use on a phone. So I know we have an app, but everything is not available on the app. So you need to go to the website for certain things, and if you just use your phone, you have to put up with all that. Anyway, just our main presentation is how to protect your precious photos and documents. I believe that's basically backing up your data. So that's Jerry. We're ready for you. Oh yeah, he's got to turn on his mic, and I'll turn mine off so I'm not recorded.
Just for him. See if Frank's got a.
Oh.
Okay.
We're new to these.
I think I got mine.
Ready?
Yeah. Where's your clicker?
Oh. You need a pointer?
Oh, the pointer on this one?
I think so. Oh.
I'll just use that one. That's fine. I may not need it. Hey guys.
It's bright though, so I'm pointing in.
Oh, we gotta.
Oh. Frank, what's going on? Just say okay.
I don't know. I click on slideshow at the beginning.
Just click on okay.
Microsoft trying to protect us from ourselves again.
You should be able to click on this one.
Oh.
It's a separate show. I can't close it either.
You have the screen duplicator or what?
I never put them together.
Oh.
So this should not be custom slideshow. You get out of it.
Oh, you just here. Oh,
Glasses.
you can just close it up here, but you need
Yeah,
to
it
close it.
doesn't work.
Oh, it's on your second screen. That's why that security alert's coming up on your.
Gotta get out of this thing some way. We can go off here, no? It throws.
We're supposed to know technology, but we struggle with it sometimes. So we can feel your pain with everything you go through.
No, it's in. You got to get rid of that message that's on your second screen though.
Yeah, it's on the second screen.
What's on there?
It's got a security alert. You got to right. You got to close
You have
that.
this thing set up for 2 screens?
Set it up for extended.
Okay, I'm gonna sing a little bit. No, you don't want that.
What the hell is this thing?
It's on the other screens, Frank. You got to run your.
But,
Which way is your? Over here. See over there. See, look on
Well,
the
we're-
projector
we're-
up there. See.
we're
Can't see.
doing pretty good on
There you go.
our
Now,
finances.
now we're good.
As far as what you
You can
approve
just
and
go.
what we're
I
spending.
can.
We still have some incidentals.
And like, so I can, let me see if I can probably click now. Okay, I can do it.
There's gonna be some
Oh, perfect.
cords,
Okay, great.
other accessories. Oh, okay. All right, we're back.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. It was just a security issue. I don't know why you had it. Okay. After much ado, I'm Jerry Knight. I'm one of the tech leads in the lab. Come and see us if you need help. Too loud? Oh, talking. Okay. Do you guys hear me okay? Raise your hand if you can hear me. All right, there we go. In the back, we're good. Okay, so I'm Jerry Knight. I'm the tech lab. I coordinate a lot of the volunteers, and in the meantime, I do presentations, I guess. so anyway, so I put this title up because I'm like, backup. What's a backup? It's not a normal word we use unless you're backing up the truck or whatever. So protecting your precious photos and documents, because what's the real goal of a backup is that you don't have all that stuff that's buried on your computer that everybody gave you, and all the stuff you saw online, and all your family pictures you've scanned in, or if you haven't scanned in, come to the lab and we can scan them in for you. And when they're in your computer, what do? Let me see if I can get this to form. So basically, a backup is just making a backup copy of your stuff. And you can do that by many, many ways. I'm going to try to tell you in an easy way to do it, but there's a lot of differences, so I'll try to keep it on the straight and narrow here. So I'm going to tell you how to copy information that's on your devices. A device is a phone, a computer, etc. And how you synchronize the files. That sounds like it's really complicated, but it makes sense if you've got a phone and a PC that you put everything on one or the other and it shows up on both and it stays there and it stays up to date. That's synchronizing. Then I tried to go through, I did a lot of investigation on different backup apps because I use the ones built into Apple myself. Some people use the ones that are for Google for their phones. Some people use the ones that are for Microsoft for Windows. So I thought, let's try the ones that are built into the system first. And then, lo and behold, I found out very quickly that in most cases, there are backup apps available that are third-party apps that you probably might want to try because they're a little easier or a little more reliable. I'll go into that, but anyway. There's also a fourth thing way at the bottom here, really important. It's not useful to you from a day-to-day basis, but you have the ability to actually make a complete copy of your computer so that if you step on your computer, run it over with a car, it gets stolen, whatever it is, you can go get another computer and put that file into the computer and it'll come up and become your computer with one basic step. But that just one big file, you can't really get into individual things. You can't find the picture of Aunt Macy. It's in there, but it's all bound up in the whole product. So that's the last thing you do, restoring. So not to belabor that a lot, but we have photos. Those are very important to us, very important to your kids, even though they don't want them. But all those big white books of photos that you have, if they're not already in a computer, it's nice to put them in a computer and then you can hand them down to the generation. It's what they do with them is their business, but then at least you've got them there. Emails, phones, texts. Now people send you all kinds of important things in text messages or at least a link to something. So it's nice to have those and not have them go away because I know I've gone back in and said, wait, I had those windows put in like a year ago. That guy texted me. Let me go back and see if I can click on that. And then I can find the person. I know who it was. Legal documents. You don't have many of them. Buy a house, sell a house, buy a car. Financial documents. Maybe you have your IRA. Maybe put your 1099 statements on there for your tax return. Whatever it is. And those are, pretty important too. And if you're like most people, you've got a couple file cabinets sitting there in your office or your place in your house down in the basement somewhere. You got to dig and open up these big boxes of stuff and dig through everything if you want to find something from a year ago or 2 years ago. Also, some of us are realizing we're reaching the pinnacle of our legacy. We need to do something. How about writing a story? How about writing a memoir? How about keeping it, whatever you want to do. Make up greeting cards so next year you don't have to, for Valentine's Day, you don't have to make another one for next year. You just copy it. And then there's scans of things you might want to remember. You've got these boxes. I know everybody does. You've got these boxes of stuff, and it's got newspaper clippings from 1942 or whatever. And you shouldn't not have them. You should have them, but you can put them electronic. So they get to be important. And what if you have a picture of your kids graduating from school or somebody who's got a commendation of some kind from the military service. So anyway, your computer provides a way to easily store all these, but you don't want to have your computer blows up one day or your house has a fire, God forbid, and then your stuff is gone. And there's not a lot of way to get it back. My kids were in school and they both called me, two of the ones called me at one time and said, Dad, my computer just, I can't get stuff on my hard drive. I said, what, did you use that backup I bought you last Christmas? No. So we're all guilty of it. I got an action item for you. If you don't have one of these, get on Amazon or go to Best Buy, get a 1 terabyte 3.5-inch drive with whatever connector your computer has. Mine has both. Because the new computers start using USB-C, it's a smaller connector, nicer. Don't have to worry about which direction it is. And get one of these, hook it to your computer, use some kind of backup program, and make it, make a backup of your computer. If you don't know how to do that, come to the lab. We'll show you how to do it. Because it's really not too hard. And I'll show you some of the ways to do that today, just so you get a feel for it. But it's not hard. So I think I kind of covered a lot of this. There's a lot of kind of backups. But one of the things you'll hear is the word full backup. A full backup is the first time you hook this thing up, you're going to do a complete and full backup. It's going to copy everything. It's going to take it may take a couple hours. It may take overnight, depending on how fast your system is. And then from then on, it does what's called an incremental backup. And that or whatever changes. If you only change like a couple files a day, or it gets new emails, whatever it is. And so those don't take long. They take 5 or 10 minutes a lot of times. And then in addition to that, you can just make copies of files. Like I said, if you don't know how to do a backup program, you hook this thing up, it shows up as another drive on your computer, and we can show you just grab and, you can grab your whole documents file out of your PC and just drop it into this, and it'll copy it all. Not really a backup, but it's a backup copy. It's something you can do for yourself, and at least you'll have something. And then you take this thing every once in a while, or one like it, and stick it in your safe. Go to Walmart and buy a safe for $39. It's fireproof, floodproof, etc., and put this in there and leave it in there. And then maybe every once in a while pull it out and make a new one. These are just ideas that, sometimes I realize it's not easy with all the stuff we have going on to always, keep track of your computer. Like, you need one more thing to keep track of. The one thing about manual copies I mentioned is that they're hard to keep synchronized. So you take this copy and you put it in your safe and you leave it for a year. But meanwhile, you went back in and you updated your memoir and added 3 more chapters to it. Now you need to pull this back out and make a new copy. And you can do that by just do it again. Drag it over and it'll erase what was there and put your new one on there. The copies, sorry? Oh, so just making some noise. Copies should be secured by passwords. Not so much your photos, but if you have financial documents or that kind of stuff, it may have account numbers. I went through stuff. My wife and I went through our file last year, and we found about, several hundred documents that had our social security numbers on them. No X's, no partial. It was the whole thing, and I'm like, it was from a financial institution. And I'm like, come on. So we had to go through and you have to either redact them or just shred the documents or whatever, because you don't want your numbers out there. So when you do backup, I talked about this, grabbing this little guy and put it on your computer. That's a local backup. But there's also a cloud backup. And so it's easy to go with every device you have now. You get probably some kind of a default cloud service. And it's either like Google, Microsoft, Apple, Dropbox. You guys have heard of these, right? Yeah. And a lot of times they come with it. They give you just enough to get you started, and then you gotta buy more. But they give you 15 gigabytes, which is a pretty good amount. I put a little note at the bottom here because I know what the hell is a GB and what's an MB. So a high resolution photo you take with today's iPhones is about 3 to 8 megabytes, MB. 1,000 of those photos would be about 3 to 8 gigabytes. So they give you 15 gigabytes with Google. That's quite a few photos you can put in there. And you don't have to have them. If you're not going to blow it up to a poster, I have a really hard time doing this, but you don't have to keep the highest resolution photo. You can say, just give me a basic photo. That's good enough. You can make them smaller if you want to. Anyway, so Microsoft gives you 15 gig of mail and 5 gigabytes of inline images with just when you have Windows. If you sign up for like Microsoft 365, you guys do that, you get, I think it's a terabyte now. It's a lot. So then a terabyte I didn't put on there is 1,000 gigabytes. So megabytes times 1,000 gigabytes times 1,000 is terabytes. I know it's really complicated, but it just means this is a 2 terabyte drive, and that's not real big. And some of the flash drives I have are 128, or there may be an eighth of that. Anyway. As I said, Apple, they're a little stingy. They only give you 5 gigabytes at first. but it only costs, I think, 99 cents to get the next tier. And then we have 2 terabytes we share among my wife and myself, and it's $10 a month. And I think I can get it down to the next tier. All I have to do is go through, and I know there's a lot of duplications. So that's the other trick you can use with some of these programs. I'm not covering it today, how to get rid of duplicate information, because it's very easy to get a lot of duplication, especially in photos. And most of the photo programs have a way to take care of that. Questions so far? Okay. So I talked a little bit about syncing before. If you have more than one device, your phone, your computer, your iPad, your whatever it is, it's really, really pretty easy to synchronize the stuff to each other. The only thing you have to do is make sure when you sign in to Gmail or sorry, not Gmail, Google or Apple, make sure you use the same account. I had people come into the lab and they're like, hey, I want to put my photos over here and do this. And we pull up the 2 files, and here I got 200 photos, and here I've got 1,000 photos. I go, wait, whoop. I go and look, 2 different email addresses for the username. So you want to start getting to where you've got one email at gmail.com or apple.com or icloud.com, whatever it is, and then that will help you get, everything synchronized. When I go look at my computer over there, my phone, and my iPad, there's exactly the same number of, they call it it's not really photos, it says items. And that means photos and or videos, and it has the same exact number. It's a little tricky to get it at first, but you'll get it. And then you erase one, it gets erased across all of them. And don't worry, you will have 30 days to fix it. So I put a little note here at the bottom. There's a couple situations where if you delete your iCloud file on one device, it might just decide you didn't want that. So, if I go in and delete one photo in my phone, and it had already copied over my PC, it's going to go away too. Okay, it's going to put it in a little holding thing called recently deleted. You can go back and grab it out of there. But I just wanted to warn you that if you like, say you upgrade your PC, take the PC off of iCloud first or whatever it is, and then you can go back and you won't lose anything. We'll probably cover a little more on that. So there's 4 pillars. Everybody in here is in one of these or more of them. Who's got a Windows PC? It's like I know that most everybody's got one. So for Windows PC, there's a lot of good tools out there. I went and did a whole thing with backup history, file history. It worked okay. I wasn't convinced that it actually got everything, so I'm going to go play with that one more. But that's the one that comes free with with Microsoft, with Windows, and it's a legacy program. There's another one that actually worked better for me called the Backup and Restore. This is the one where I was saying if you want to have a copy, so if you step on your computer or run over it, you can go back and get another computer at the store, and you go grab this file, which you hopefully put on one of these or on the little flash drive, and there's a procedure you go through, and it's called Restore, and it'll put it back just the same way it was on a new computer. That's what that second one is for. And any of this stuff, by the way, I know this is a lot, so come into the lab and we'll walk you through any of this and let you get familiar with how to do it, and we'll probably do it for you in most cases. But we'd like you to learn too, it helps. Then if something goes wrong, you know how to maybe fix it. OneDrive is Microsoft's cloud. So it's pretty automatic. Some people have a gripe with OneDrive. It's a little grabby in terms of it kind of wants to get in your business about everything you're doing. And so yesterday I was trying some of this stuff, and I think what it was trying to do was tell me that I had some files on another computer, and I didn't want them. They put them in a list to get rid of. I'm like, no, leave those alone. So you got to watch other. But other than that, it works really good. OneDrive's really easy. When you get a new computer and you just turn it on, it more or less, if you give it a Microsoft account, it'll turn on OneDrive and start backing up everything to Microsoft's cloud. So that's kind of good. I also located 2 alternate third-party programs. One company is called Genie, and one company is called iDrive. iDrive was voted, I don't really read this magazine regularly, but when I Googled it on the internet, it came up and said that PC Computing magazine had iDrive as an editor's choice. It usually means you're pretty safe getting that thing. And they have a lot of different programs of one-time purchase or subscription, so you can buy that. And what it does over Microsoft products, it's more like you're a little more in control. You can do some more things with it. And we have a few people in the lab that are using iDrive already. Also, there's another one we use, some of the guys use in the lab. It's called Genie. Genie Backup Manager is the legacy one. They're kind of in a transition right now. Everybody's kind of going to AI, but you can get it right now. All these have a trial, like a 30-day trial. If you want to come into the lab, we can put it on there, and you can try a 30-day trial. And then if you decide you like it and you can deal with it and you understand it, then we could have you can do it on your own. Give them a credit card, and they'll take your money for a month or a year or whatever, whatever makes sense. The other thing that I thought was good is I was kind of looking for programs that ran, one company that ran on all my 4 environments there. I think I succeeded fairly well. So let's go over to the Mac. I know about only 10% of the people have Macs in here. But Mac has its own program for backup called Time Machine. I don't know if anybody has a gripe with it. If they ever use it, I love it. It's the most, and I'll go through it at the end. It's the most usable program I've had on as far as backup. I'll get to that at the end. But they also support iDrive, or I should say iDrive supports them. And then and then the other company, Genie. I didn't write Genie on there. BigMind is also by Genie. BigMind's kind of like their only program that runs on all 4 of my environments here. It runs on Android, phones, iPhones, Apple Macs, and Windows PCs. So it's a good universal one. It's kind of made for companies, so it seemed a little complicated, but no problem with it. And it'll run local. So back on this guy again, you can say, I want to use this. And you can say, I want to use a cloud. And the third one is a fancy little acronym, NAS, Network Access Server. It's just a little box. It's a way of, I suggest if you're a photographer, if you don't have one, they've got huge files. Or if you like to take videos and keep them, a NAS is great. I won't go into a lot of it here, but it's just a server that sits in your house, and you can back all your files up to it. And it takes care of it. And it's got things like, a drive dies, you just pull the drive out and literally plug it back, a new drive back in, and it reconfigures it. So there's nothing for you to do other than just have one. Anyway, over to the iPhones. In our club, iPhones are we have a little more iPhones than we do Androids. We have about 55% of the people use an iPhone here, and the rest use Android. So for iPhone, they have an iCloud backup I'll show you. They do the iDrive, of course, and then they do, there's a little program that Genie has. I think this is one of the coolest ones. If you're a person and your family has one iPhone and one Android phone, or if you have people that kind of want to go back and forth, I've had people at the lab come in and they have an Android phone and their wife has an Apple phone, and they're like, I just can't deal with it anymore, I want to switch. That's what this program is. G-Cloud Backup is a standalone program that will let you take images from from Apple, iPhones, and Android and switch back and forth. So that's a pretty cool thing. I know it doesn't sound like that much, but most people come into the lab and they go, well, I went to the store and I bought this new Android phone. I had an iPhone before, and the guy at the store was supposed to set it up for me, but he didn't set it up for me. Right. So you got to go fix it. So this will let you do that. Anyway, or like, again, come back into the lab. We'll help you. And the last one is on Android. And really, Android was created by Google. So it's not surprising that Google phones are, that's their home environment. I'll talk more about that. But iDrive and like I said, the G-Cloud Backup to switch back and forth, they're both there. They're both good. So I'm gonna go back to this guy again. My Mac's laying over there, and I got a drive over here, and I'm gonna get it to work. So you don't really need to worry about all the commands and stuff I'm showing you. I'm just kind of show you it's kind of whether you think, I could do that, or I'm gonna go to the lab and get help, whatever. So typically the drive has got a couple numbers that you want on it. Like I said, you got to figure the amount of storage. We'll talk about that in a second. But it's just a plain old hard drive. It's not even a solid state drive, because solid state drives, I've got Macs that are 10 years old or more that I think it's 12 years old now, and it has a solid state drive and it works perfectly fine. But in the industry, they're claiming that these actual old-fashioned magnetic, spinning drives last longer, especially if you take it and put it in a safe every once in a while and just leave it and update it every once in a while. They claim it'll last longer. So I don't know. I just do one of each, and I wouldn't worry about it. So that way you got something to fall back on, literally. And then, so what you do is on this main program that's built into Windows, you just go into the control panel, which is unusual. You don't go to the control panel much in Windows 11 anymore. But you go to the control panel, where I have it in blue there, you click on Save Backup Copies of your files with File History. And what that does, it starts a backup program. And I'll show you how it comes up with this screen. The history is off. You turn it on. And then it's on. And then it has this little Run Now lights up. And you click it. And it copies. Now what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to copy documents, music, pictures, videos, and desktop. It does not copy Windows. It doesn't copy all your system stuff. But that's fine, because when you go get another computer, you can put a drive in it and make it be Windows 11 blank, so to speak. And then you can just point these, put this drive back on that computer and hit restore, and it'll pull those, or you can just manually copy them over. But I found a little, just to be frank about this, I went in and looked at the documents, music, folders, etc. that it created, and I wasn't convinced that it had got everything. There's a reason for that, but I didn't have time to figure out what it was. So I want something to just come on, just go. I don't want to mess with it. But I did go back and do the backup and restore, which is another thing that they kept in Windows 11 from Windows 7, which is like 10 years ago, I'm thinking? And they're still using it, but it actually worked really well, or at least it seemed to. That makes the whole image, I'm ready to go back and reload. I didn't actually take the image and reload it into a blank machine. That'll be another thing I'll probably try in the lab one day. But that's a way to do it, and it's really, I'm going to say right here, it's really, really easy. All you do is go in and click the little, where the red arrow is up there, and say set up the backup, and that's it. It goes, and you end up with a file. If you go look at whatever you use to back it up on, it'll have a file just one file that you're ready to go back and use as a backup. So any questions on Windows 11 backup? That's how you do Windows 11. I got a question back here.
In order to do the backup, you have to have an external drive?
You don't honestly have, okay, the question was, to do an external backup, to do a local backup, do you need to have an external drive? It's the easiest. There are computers that have more than one hard drive in them, and you can just back it up to the other hard drive. But normally what you're doing for the cost of this, which is not very much, these are about $60 or so, you can just do it on here. So the answer is, yeah, you can do it, but if I would do it, I would just do it as another copy. I'd put a copy, like say I have a D drive on my computer, and the normal drive is C drive, and if I have a D drive, yeah, I can just copy the files over to the D drive and put it back up there. The only problem is if the power supply goes out on the Mac, or the PC rather, you're still done. So, and then it just makes sense, like I said, I think due to the cost, you just get these, and then for the price they are now, I got a couple of USB drives that were 128 gig. I got two of them at Costco for $19.95, so like $10. So really for the cost, I'd get one of these and maybe a couple of those flash drives, and I'd do both. Then you got put one in your safe, put one in your nightstand drawer or whatever it is, and then you got something. Or put it at a friend's house. Yeah, Steve.
Jerry, on the Android phone backup, does that backup do your contacts, text, and your call registers?
I'm gonna go into that right now.
Okay.
So I put generic Android stuff for any brand, but a lot of people have Samsung phones and a lot of people have Pixel phones. So I put a little section for each. So who has a Samsung phone? I see quite a few. And who has a Google phone? It's actually pretty good. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to get everybody something, and then other questions we can get. So Google is the backup. Like I said, they started Android, so they're the home base for Android, which is fine. And you can back up stuff from your PC too, but this is particularly about the phone right now. It automatically, to answer Steve's question, it does back up the Wi-Fi networks, the passwords, the call history, and the app data sync, and it puts that all on Google Drive. So Google has all these little apps. If you ever sign up for a Google email, Gmail account, you get these little, there's like a little matrix of dots on the right side, and that's all that Google apps like Translate and Drive and all these things. So Google Drive is their OneDrive, or whatever you want to call it. It's their cloud where you store all the files. But they also kind of parse it out, which is not a bad idea. They put the context in there as well, but then the photos and videos go in Google Photos because they have a Photos app, so they kind of do that separately. There's not really anything wrong with that. That's fine. It's easy. And they use what's called backup and sync as a command in the phone. You can go and back up your files. And then you can keep the messages in your backup too. So if you want, text messages or whatever, I presume you could probably keep WhatsApp messages too, but I haven't looked into that, because some people use WhatsApp for international stuff, or primarily for international stuff. And when you set up your phone, it should do this pretty much automatically. It should assume you want to do a backup, as Apple phones do too. We'll talk that. You get 15 gig, I talked about that before. And then Google One is their add-on service. So I used to get a ton of emails, and it would just grow. I get an alert from Google, oh, you've exceeded your amount. First I'm thinking like, yeah, I'll get in there and spend like 3 days and get rid of all my junk mail, whatever. And I'm like, nah, it's 99 cents, so I'm just gonna get some more space. So I got a little more space in there until I had time to go back, and it's a discipline thing. You have to go back in and do it periodically. So anyway. Now they have, so like I said, Samsung has some specials. They seem to do the most of the ones that I looked at. They have Samsung Cloud for storage. I don't know if they charge for it or not. But it does all the Google and Samsung services. Verizon offers an add-on to your cell phone plan if you want to have some storage with them. Frankly, I don't see much need for it, but if you want to, go if you like having stuff with Verizon or you get some kind of a deal, that's fine. But I mean, it's just another place to keep your stuff, whatever. And you can manage all the settings in your accounts or backup. So that's Android. Oh yeah, Samsung does have the Samsung Cloud thing. There's an automatic backup and the phone is idle, so it should take care of itself. And then they did to make one change recently. The photos and videos are no longer backed up to their cloud, probably because they're big. They didn't want to pay for them, so they integrated it with Microsoft OneDrive. So when you do anything with Windows, with OneDrive, it will usually pop up a message and say, would you like to back up your phone with OneDrive too? And you're like, oh, it doesn't say that exact word, but it says something like that. And what happens is it says install OneDrive Mobile. And there's nothing wrong with it. Just click on that, and then yeah, it'll keep your photos and videos back on OneDrive as well. So this is kind of I guess you need kind of a strategy for what you're doing. The easy way to do it is just to use, maybe OneDrive and back up everything, or go to Google and use that as your cloud, and then just do the things it says here. I think I pretty much covered everything in here. Didn't mean to be that repetitive. They do have a thing called Smart Switch, which is really like when you go to the store and you get a new Android phone, they have a way to switch your phone over to a new phone. But it turns out that actually can work as a kind of an image backup as well. So that's good. And it can also do a full backup to your computer, which is nice. Because what if you didn't have one of those synchronization things I was talking about? You can go on to, if you have a Google phone, I didn't actually try this, so I'm taking them at their word they can do this, but you could go in there and just plug your phone into the PC with a USB cable, and you can back up your phone files to your computer. So that's a good thing. And of course, in the documentation, we put this online. You'll be able to pull this up and look back at it. Pixel is similar. I just did it for completeness. It actually turns out, no surprise, it's pretty much like any Android phone. It's got all the same tools. There's no real special tools for Pixel. It's just that I just wanted to include it because a lot of people have the Google Pixel phone. And if you have another brand, let me know. But that's it. This is going to look just like that first page because it's going to do the exact same Google stuff. But I just wanted to have you understand what it could do. To back up your passwords, wallpaper, call history, all your photos, etc. Okay, it's not for the iPhone. And it's also iPad, because you know an iPad's a lot like an iPhone. It's similar. Not exactly, but it's similar. So the iPad backup, just as a side note, is almost identical to the phone backup. And they actually recently started doing the same thing on the Macs, which is the computer. The only difference is they don't call it a backup on the Mac. So what happens on the phone is if you go and actually look at the details, I'll show you that on a screen here later. You get to look at the details, you'll see that certain backup files were created. There's a list of them. It gives you the ability to go back and maybe the last one you did wasn't the one you want. Maybe you want to go back and grab the one before that for whatever reason. It's probably more complicated than everybody in here wants to do, but it's available. But the idea is that if you have the same Apple account on all these devices, which most people would, it's going to synchronize all your photos, all your stuff that you tell it, all across the three, and it should be identical. And how you do it is you go in and you click on your phone, and everybody loves this because you click on your name first, where I have the picture of myself up there, and then what you see is a little thing called iCloud in the middle of the page, and that's where you get, it looks very basic, like it's not going to do anything, but you click on that, and that's all the info you need to get your backup going and tell it things you want and don't want. So you click on that, and you get one page, and then what I did on this, you scroll down. It's the same, it's not 2 pages, it's 1 page with just kind of, run my finger up there. The storage is shown at the top. You can see where I told you I have a 2 terabyte, $10 a month thing that my wife and I share. You can have 5 family members, I think 5 or 6, can all share that same thing. So it's pretty reasonable when you divide it out. And then at the bottom, you start seeing photos. It shows how many photos. There's 11,000 photos and videos in there. It's a lot, but it's like everything I've ever. I'm sure there's some missing somewhere, but I'm sure the attempt is to have everything I've ever taken, and then I've got it backed up 3 places, so I've always got access to it. And you can always, within reason, find a picture real quick. Oh yeah, remember that time we went to the wedding reception? Anyway, I've got 32 gigabytes of documents and stuff in there. And my phone is password protected. I've got all the passwords. It synchronizes all the passwords across all the devices. I've got way too many messages. I realize I've got 10 gig of messages because I never delete messages. What I found was a little program. I can't think of it right now, but it actually will go in and grab all the pictures out of your messages and drop them into your photos file. That would be worth it. Then I can just delete all the messages. Messages if they're old, I don't care anymore. But it's just the photos. People send me photos and I forget to download them into my photos. Okay. So anyways, you got all these things, and what it's doing is, if you get down to the bottom, look over on the right side there, and it says Cloud Backup. I've got this. And the phone actually does call it a backup. It creates a backup of all the types you say you want. And it, like I said, makes different ones for different days. So you can actually go back and retrace your steps. And say you broke your phone, you can go back, grab a new phone, use that backup file, and recreate everything you have on your phone. And then when you get to that screen, it looks like this. And you can say, just tell it, like, simple switch, back up this phone. Duh, it's pretty easy. And it just takes care of it. And then you can give it one other thing, which is kind of important, depending on how your cellular plan works, is, do you want to back up using cellular? So your phone, if you get charged for big amounts of data on your cell plan, then you might want to turn that off and just use it at home when you're on Wi-Fi, when your phone's at home and Wi-Fi. But it has the ability to do it on cellular too. Say if you're on vacation, you're taking a bunch of pictures, and then what'll happen when you get back to your hotel or wherever it is, if it hasn't been on cellular, like you're out in the middle of the national forest or something, it'll back it up and get caught up. So now if you lose your phone the next day, you still got all your pictures, you didn't lose anything. So it kind of gets to like what's valuable to you. And then it's showing, like I said, all the backups I have. And notice how it has my phone and then my iPad. And by going to that, I can see the backups on one place. I can go look at the backups for both my phones and my and my iPad. So I can kind of play that a little bit and get the stuff I need if I lost something or something like that. I've actually never had to do that. The only thing I've had to do is I've gone in, I have the backups in there. Before the iPhone 16, I had an iPhone 14, and I got a new 16, so I copied everything over. I didn't have to do anything fancy. All I had to do is log into iCloud, and it automatically updated everything. But I could go back because I no longer need the old backup from the iPhone 14. It's just taking up space. I can delete that. So it gives you use when you need it, but it gives you an easy way to get rid of it when you don't need it anymore. I don't have to go back and sort through my old phone and look for stuff that, no, I don't care. And like I said, the iPad's extremely similar. The screen is bigger, but it looks almost identical. And there are differences between between iPad OS and iOS, but they're not, for most people in here, including myself, it's not that much different. Okay. There's one thing we've been doing, a lot of people in the lab that come in, is they may not have a backup plan, but they have an iPhone. We have how many people in here have, for example, an iPhone and Windows 11, a PC with Windows? See, quite a few, and that showed in our survey too. So iCloud is an app from Apple, and it's the storage from Apple, but PCs don't usually speak Apple. But for years, what they've been doing is having an iCloud program for your PC, and it gives you some cool things that you can do for no charge. Like I said, up to 5 gigabytes. It doesn't cost anything. So you can go in there, you can access all the information in iCloud from your PC. So you can go and see. You can actually go. What it does when you hook it in, it creates a photos file that looks like the Apple one with a little rainbow flower on it, or whatever you call it. And it's not an app for photos, but it is a list of all your photos. It's a catalog of all your photos. You can look at all your photos and grab them or whatever, keep them up to date. So it's synchronizing for no charge, and you didn't actually have to get one of these. I still think you should, but you didn't have to get one. And then the only thing is, they're Apple. You have to have iCloud on at least one of your devices. Well, that's pretty much going to be. They always have it, but you need to do that first. So if you just bought the iPhone and you want to have it do this Windows thing, you're going to need to make sure your iCloud or your Apple account is all set up, and then you're going to go to your PC, download this app, and then tell it you're going to log into iCloud or Apple or whatever, and it's going to synchronize everything automatically. You'll have all this stuff that you can go back and forth between the two. So it's kind of neat. The worst part of it is you may have legacy photos from your PC, from your cameras and stuff, or from Walgreens, the CD or whatever. So you're going to have one photo, one folder that's the ones from your iPhone specifically, and you're going to have one from whatever else you had. So you may have to do some little playing, but the cool thing is that within reason, you can take those pictures and drag them over into that Apple thing, and it'll add them back into your alt catalog. So what you really want to do is get to one catalog. To me, you want to get one file of photos. It's a little messy sometimes because the way the two companies used to store them was a little different. Apple does it so like you never see the underlying structure of the files folders. Windows used to do it where you have all these photos and they're from a certain day or a month, and then they're in a folder. You do another one the next time, and it's a new folder. So it's just a matter of a strategy. Again, we can help you with that. This is just about how you set it up. It's not too involved. Now this is the important part. Remember how I was in the iPhone or I was in the iPad or Mac, and I said it had all these little bubbles. Oh, do you do, mail, or do you do photos, or do you do messages? And this is how on the Mac, it just looks slightly different, but you can literally turn these on or off. So if you don't want it to do photos, maybe you want Microsoft Photos to do the photos on your Windows computer. That's fine. Just don't turn it on here. But if you wanted to sync your photos and take a copy of all your photos in your phone and drop them into your PC, just turn that little switch on, and that's what it'll do. Now, if you want your documents in there, you tell it you want to do iCloud Drive. It's a little manual, but if you had files, say you had some 1099 forms or some kind of forms from your broker or something from your bank or whatever it is, and you want to, maybe your Medicare statements, whatever it is, and you want to keep them, you literally just drag them into the iCloud folder, and it'll keep them. Just another way to back up. If you have OneDrive, you probably don't need it, but like I said, some people don't like OneDrive, so you can use iCloud or Google. So this is how you use iCloud. One of them that we talked about last month or so was the passwords, password managers. There's a built-in password manager into every Apple device, and it's called, traditionally it was called Keychain, and Keychain's pretty much gone, and now they use Passwords. Passwords is actually an app. It's actually it's not part of a browser, it's not part of anything, it's just its own app, and it does the password management. So when you buy an iPhone or an iPad, you have that in there already, and all that little, we have a lot of people come in with a pad of paper or something with all these passwords. Kind of encourage them to put them in there, because when you log onto a website and it asks you, do you want to save the password, you say save the password, and it's kept in there. What this switch does is then it will copy that password file over to your iPad, your iPhone, your Mac, your whatever, but your Windows PC, it's in your Windows PC. So now you can actually use that for a password manager. So it's kind of a nice thing. So at least you have something rather than a piece of paper. And then the bookmarks on your browser, you can, it's kind of annoying to have one set of bookmarks on your phone and different bookmarks or whatever, or favorites. Microsoft calls them favorites on different things, so you can synchronize those as well. And calendars and contacts. Now that you got to be careful about, because you got to look at which calendar you use. And like, for example, like a lot of people use Google Calendar, and a lot of things from doctor's office and whatever are Google Calendar things. They'll still drop into Apple, that's not a problem, but if Google Calendar is your home calendar, like from your phone or whatever, you may or may not want to have that on, depending on what you want it to do. But it's going to create it so you can see your calendar on your phone, or I kind of like having it on both, so I can just see what's going on, or it reminds me, I'm sitting there at my PC working or whatever, or my Mac, and the thing pops up and it's the same thing, it's on my phone and my watch. It's like, kind of, if I miss an appointment, it's really sad. So anyway, this is a good little link they had in here. You can just search, I just did a search for iCloud on Windows 11, and you'll get a whole thing like this, and it tells you gives more detail than than you would want me to give here. So there is a way to synchronize the Macs too. Most Mac people probably don't necessarily do this, but if you're kind of coming to the world and you're new from this, it's just the same thing. Like I said, it's almost identical to the one on the phone, and you go in there and it syncs to the iCloud. Syncs to iCloud. So it looks sort of the same. Again, nothing new. This is where it's showing me where I've selected which things are going to be saved to iCloud, whether it's photos or Drive. It's exactly the same, which is nice. You can click that little button on the right up there where it says, if you can see that, it says See All. It gives you that list again, kind of like this. Now you can go in and tell it very granular, with no commands, just tell it, whatever you want to be saved on or synchronized over to your devices. So it's just kind of I just thought, since mine has that, I thought I'd show you. We have a family plan. That's kind of neat because husband and wife, kids, whatever, your photos, it's going to synchronize all the photos from both your libraries in one place, which is really nice. Now you still see your own if you go in, or you can tell it multiple people and you can see all of them. So it's kind of nice. This shows you how much data everything's using. Not that it really matters. You only care about the top 3 or 4 that trust me, they're eating. Your photos, your videos, your maybe somebody sent you some messages that have attachments or whatever. They're taking up all the room, and everything else isn't taking up too much. Maybe if you got a lot of mail in there, if you get a lot of junk mail, you could go and clean that out. But anyway. So we're getting ready for a full backup here, because it's one of the things I wanted to end with was the Mac backup. That's why I put it at the end, because I know it's only a few people. But I encourage you, if you like this, go take a look. It's one of the reasons to look at a Mac. I mean, it really is. So when you look at your computer itself, up on the right hand, you got this little rainbow thing that shows how much of the actual Mac is used. This Mac has a 256 gig hard drive. and I've got some room on it still left. Anyway, I would say for a backup, you want to have about 3 times to 4 times that amount. So if you buy a computer and it has a 512 gigabyte drive, then buy one of these or one of the servers that's got 3 or 4 times this. So like 1 or 2 terabytes. And like I said, $60. It's not that big a deal. And I find them on sale once in a while that are, pretty cheap. Anyway, that's all this was really trying to show you, that I understand there's both what you have on your computer and there's what you have in the cloud. And generally, what's on your computer is a copy, so you have the same amount. You can also offload it. If you don't have certain things you don't need on your computer, sure, you can offload it to this as well, but you have to do it. There's some rules about how to do it. I'll show you, or you can ask. So Mac uses Time Machine, they call it, for their full backup. I talked about at the beginning, full backup, incremental backup, all that. That's what Time Machine does. So it's a little program that runs on there. It comes with every Mac. They don't charge you for it. You can back up to pretty much it backs up literally everything. Like I talked about, you had that one where you can back up the entire system and then recover from it. That does this as well. So just for you guys, what do? You take this guy and plug it in. He's going to ask you, do you want to add a backup disk? It's just going to pop up. And you click on there, and it's going to say something like, this is a YOTUO off-brand. And you're going to see that, and you're going to click on it. Now this, when I did this screenshot, I have a little drive. It's a black one. It's a different one I had for a long time, and it's called a Firecuda. It's by a Seagate Barracuda. So if it's green, that means it's already being used for a backup, and that's where my server, where it's got my wife's backups and my backups, et cetera, et cetera. But on the local drive that we just plug in, it's yellow right now. And I had one for iMac in 2015, Photo Source and Merge, because I was playing with some photo files and I wanted to be able to merge them and play around. So that's one there. So I don't want to touch that one, because that's one that's just a drive with files on it. But the top one's just generic, so I can use that one. And once you use it, it's going to turn green. It's going to become a Time Machine backup. And you got to remember that what it's going to do is it's going to erase everything that's in that disk, which is fine. It's going to use a blank disk, and it's going to start making a copy of everything. And I just showed you can do this with a server too. Don't worry about it here, but if you want to show how to do it like a server, like the photography people who know how to do it and ask, come and see me or whatever. But you just point it to a drive on a server somewhere, and it'll do that too. And you can encrypt it. Encrypting is wonderful, especially if it's financial stuff. But you have to remember to make sure you write that password down and stick it in your safe somewhere, because don't lose it. You won't be able to get to your drive. You can erase the drive and use it over, but you can't get to it, the files. And the Mac will show you at the top if it was backed up today. My mother-in-law has a Mac. She's had it for years, and I've got one of these little drives on there, and so every time we see her, I go over there and I look, and I go, oh, your drive hasn't backed up. Well, what she probably did was she unplugged the drive, she went and took her Mac and did something, plugged it back in. Well, until you plug it back in, it's not gonna back up. But all you gotta do is plug the drive back in, and then it starts backing up again. So that's probably. Now this is the coolest thing to me is in Time Machine. They've had this for like 10 years, and so if I was looking for a certain file, let's say I had a picture of Aunt Judy, and I can't find it. I'm looking in my photos, I can't find it. Well, turns out I accidentally erased it 8 months ago. But I don't know where it is. But what you can do is you click Time Machine, it starts showing me these little screens like a stack of cards. And those are days. For every day the Mac did a backup. Where there was full backup, it has one symbol for a full backup, and it has another one for incremental backup. So it just might have made one change. And these go back, you can go back forever. All you have to do though is put, it's got a little magnifying glass, put the name of the file, or put Aunt Judy or whatever. Or if you really can't find it, you could go back and say, well, gee, it was from last Christmas. Let's go see if it's there. You can literally kind of like running your fingers down the Rolodex. You can go back to way back in those back ones there, click on it, and it'll show you that view of that day. That's why they call it Time Machine. It's like you're going back in time. and it shows you all those files, and you go, oh, there it is. And all you have to do is click on the file once. Down at the bottom, you can't really see it, it's kind of whited out. It says cancel and restore. You put restore, that file will boop onto the day. And it's back in there now, it's all recovered. So you can do that one file, one folder, you do everything. The other thing you can do is you can either restore your machine, a blank machine, from Time Machine, which is up in the upper right there. Or the other one is, I have a Windows computer, I want to go to a Mac. I can click a button, because my Mac is going to ask me, do you have anything to upgrade, do you want to migrate any data? You can say from a Mac, from a Windows PC, or to another Mac. So you can grab this Time Machine file, which I told you has everything in there, including the system stuff, and you can actually pull it in. And I've done this several times, and I remember it being like 30, 40 minutes. It probably depends on the computer and depends how many sizes you are, but it's not a long time. So even if you had a PC and you wanted to go to a Mac, but I'm afraid to go to a Mac, I don't know how to get there. You just do the Mac and you connect it with, put them on the same network, like just come into the lab and plug them in to 2 different places in the lab or at home, or you can there's cables you can put between them and just tell it go and wait patiently 40 minutes and you're good to go. Well, that is all I have. Are there questions?
Anybody got questions?
Okay.
Anybody got questions? Put your hands up. While we're waiting for somebody to think of a question, I just want to make one quick announcement that yesterday I was at the lab. We were open from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. We had 2 people come in who said my computer was hacked. They were people who told, with the screen popped up and it said, call this number. This is Microsoft. It had a number to call. One person she's $2,000 out of her pocket. And the other one had multiple bank accounts, maybe 10 bank accounts. Fortunately, she woke up to what she did and got on the phone and called the bank. So what could you do if you get one of those stupid messages that pop up? The first thing to do is hit the power switch down, hold the power button down, whatever you start the computer with, hold that button down for 10 seconds. This will force the computer to go into a reboot, and it'll stop. When you're holding it down, it won't just tell you got something running. It'll shut that program down and close everything out. And after you had it held down for 10 seconds, if you had lights on the computer, they'll go out. If you don't have the lights, that's why we say 10 seconds, you gotta hold it down. After you do that, all you have to do is press the button. The power button, tap it for maybe a second or 2, release it, and the computer should start up again. And it should come up with a message, because usually you're in a browser when this happens. You're in a browser, there'll be a yellow line at the top somewhere of the page. It'll say, turn off your computer improperly. Do you want to go back to where you were? No. No. Hit the N for no, or whatever they have there, about yes or no. And after you do that, chances are there's nothing wrong with your computer. They didn't get a chance to get in your computer. These 2 women, they got called in, they called the number. The first thing the guy does is talk with a whole nice talk, calm them down and say, we're gonna take care of you. They took care of them. So just a reminder.
Okay, Frank, thanks. We've been keeping you pretty long, and I think people are getting anxious to leave. So, thank you much.